Welcome to the Illuminate podcast. I'm your host, Cindy Minetto. Illuminate is a place to gather together in community where I can share anything that's lighting me up so they can light you up too. We're going to learn together from others and their stories so that each of us can shine a little bit brighter every day. As we fill our own lights, we can spread that light to others and make the world a more beautiful place. Hello, welcome to the Luminary Podcast. I'm Cindy Minetto, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. I still don't know what year it is. I've been writing 2024 literally on everything. I actually wrote 2020 the other day. I was like, oh, that's really wrong. I'm really struggling with that. So if you're still writing the wrong year, it's fine. You're in good company. I usually get it figured out by like midway through the year. Numbers and me it's just not my thing. There are things that we go to like weekly appointments, and I'll like still check with my husband. I'm like, hey, what time is this at again? Or like church, I'll be like, hey, what time do we go to church? And he's like, it's literally the same every week. But it's just hard for me. It just doesn't stay in my brain, the numbers. So I just let him remember it, and then I just ask him over and over again, lucky guy. So today I have some random thoughts just about holistic living, and I guess it's not like a rant. I'm frustrated. I feel like we need to change some things with holistic living. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Hopefully it's not too spicy, but it might be a little bit. I don't know. It happens sometimes. Sometimes it comes out. But I'm just going to dive in. Like that was like no intro at all before I just started. I just started going strong. I'm just sick. I'm sick of the extremes. I am sick of the polarity that we see really with everything, but I'm obviously going to talk more about holistic living. That there is, I know part of it is social media, like polarity obviously is what like fuels the algorithm, so we see more of what we like and not the things that we, disagree with or that don't align with us, and so it makes that polarity even more extreme. But I just feel like these extremes, these definites that people are giving, like never do this or only to do this, or if you care about your kids, you're going to do this, or, if you want your kids to be healthy, do X, Y, or Z. And I'm just like fed up with that. And I always say that one of my goals is to balance holistic and realistic. Like, I feel like that is like such a good mantra as parents, as moms, navigating the world in 2025. Like, we need to find the balance between the holistic and the realistic, because are there better ways to do things than maybe our parents did? Like, do we have more tools and more knowledge about certain things? Like, let's say food ingredients and reading labels and how certain ingredients have negative impacts, not only on development, but on brain health, on emotional health, on gut health. Yes. So like, of course we're going to try to do better, but the extremes are where I draw the line. And part of this is because I lived in those extremes for a while. I think I shared this maybe my first episode. I kind of touched on this a little bit, but for a while, like that is how I lived. Like I would take my own snacks into a movie theater, which I still do sometimes, but like we get popcorn and then I take my own like healthier candies for my kids, right? But the stress of trying to navigate the world being quote unquote perfect or 100% toxin free was leaving me so stressed out. Like I was not left with very much emotional capacity or brain space because I was constantly worried about ingredients and the toxins in the air, the toxins in the water. And like, it was hard for me to go on vacation and be like, oh, I can swim in this water because I'm like the chlorine is so bad. And I saw this thing on Instagram about how you need to, put on coconut oil before you jump in the water. And I didn't bring coconut oil. Like it was this constant mental battle and this mental draining where I'm like, at some point, stressing so much about the burger is doing just as much negative impact on your health as just eating the dang burger. Like, and once again, does that mean you go ham and you eat McDonald's every day? No. Like, you can still make good decisions, but that balance of living in real life is so important. Like, finding times where you can, like, I think I've shared before too, like I enjoy going out to eat. It's something that brings me joy, is like going out to eat, trying a new restaurant. Now I source them pretty carefully, I like finding ones that, use quality ingredients, organic food, are more farm to table. Like I just discovered a place in Salt Lake that they don't use any seed oils at all, which is awesome. Like they cook it's a Mexican place and they cook their chips in beef tallow, which is like amazing. With my mom and my sister, and I saw that on the menu, I was like, oh my gosh, beef tallow. And my little sister was like, what is that? Why are we excited? And I'm like, because it's such a good ingredient that used to be how we cooked everything until canola oil entered the chat. But so we can do that. But once again, I still go out to eat. Like it's something that brings me joy. It's something that's fun for our family to do together. And so not ever going anywhere and living is no way to live, right? So I feel like there's more balance that needs to be had. And I think that's something we can choose to do what's right for our family. We always make a joke that there's been more than once where I'm leaving Costco, which I did like a Costco haul on my Instagram a little while ago, like a cart full of organic produce, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And then like I grab pizza for my kids on the way out. Now, is it rare? Yes. But does it happen? Yes. And like they think it's the coolest thing ever. Like, we're getting pizza at Costco. And I'm like, never mind this whole, cart full of groceries. But I just want to bring up that reminder that there's no one right thing for you. There's no one right thing for your kids, like all of your kids collectively or each of your kids as individuals. There are so many different tools that we have, and this is where a mother's intuition really comes into play, because you need to feel it out, pray about it, think about it, look at the information, read about it, but then ultimately you just got to listen to your gut and your heart about what is going to be right for you and your family. Be open to change. That can change at any point. And are there things that I think everyone could benefit from? Yes, for sure. Like, do I think everyone would benefit from eating organic? Yes. But does that mean that that's something you have to do right now? No. Do I think that most women need more protein? Yes, for sure. I think that's why a lot of women are angry and get snappy with their kids because they're not eating enough to fuel their body. But does that mean that you have to like go full send, eat 180 grams of protein right now if you're currently eating like Little Caesars for every meal? No. But you have to fill out what is right for you and what is right for your body, especially where health things are concerned. Like there's constantly new information where it's like everyone has to sauna, everyone has to cold plunge, everyone needs to do red light. Yes, all of those things are good, but what do you need right now? What does your body need right now? And maybe it's not that. Like maybe there's something else that you need more, that you need to focus on more. And maybe it's just not part of your story yet. Like maybe cold plunging will become something that changes your life or transforms or helps you on a cellular level or helps get rid of that ache you've always had in your back or whatever it may be. But maybe that's not what you need right now. Maybe right now you need to focus on something else. And I am a firm believer that you will find what you need when you need it. Whatever it is that you need will come into your life at a time when you're ready for it. And if you're not ready for it, it'll come back around. So we don't need to live in this stressed out state of like, oh my gosh, everything's poison, everything's terrible. Yeah, there's a lot of junk out there in our food, in our air, in our water. Yes. Do we have to, unfortunately, push against more obstacles than like, the pioneers did? Yes. But at least I'm not a pioneer. Like, I'm not sad about that. At least I have like indoor plumbing. Like I'm fine being like I gotta find a water filter because there's fluoride and junk in the water, because it also means I have heating in my house. And right now it's freaking balls cold outside in Utah. Am I allowed to say that on a podcast? It's my podcast. I can say that. It's balls cold in Utah. Like I think the high today is 18. Pause. My kids are coming in. What, sweetie? I'm sorry. Resume. My kids, I don't know what they needed. They needed their stuffy. Well, one of my kids needed their stuffy. So like I was saying, I just feel like things will come full circle and you'll find what you need exactly when you need it. And this is where tapping in to your intuition, and therefore your own body, is so, so helpful. We often spend so much time sourcing out our power, our knowledge, our intuition to others. Like by saying things like, I don't know, let me ask my doctor, or I'll check with so-and-so about this. Let me call my mom. Let me talk to my husband about it. Let me get my religious leader's thoughts. Like, let me do whatever. And you know what that's doing? That is slowly chipping away your intuition. You can call intuition the spirit. You can call it, your intuition. You can call it guiding light. Like, there's lots of names for intuition. But the ultimate thing, what's like the best way to phrase this? I feel like I said that on every podcast. I feel like someone, if they were playing like a drinking game, could be like shot every time Sydney says, what's the best way to phrase this? But this is where tapping into, your intuition, your inner knowing, your body is helpful. And that can be as simple as, let's say someone shares something with you. Maybe someone shoots you in a DM as like, oh my gosh, you need this for your kids. And it's a vitamin. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up right now. But they send you a vitamin. Instead of being like, oh yeah, let me ask my doctor what he thinks about this. Why don't you just take a minute and close your eyes and sit, take 3 deep breaths in and out, and then just be like, is this something that's right for my family? And then listen to what your gut tells you. And if your gut's like, I'm not sure, then maybe that's a sign. Okay, I need to look into a little bit more. Let me look at the ingredients. Let me read some reviews. And if it's like, no, then it's a no. You don't need to look into it any further. You don't need to rationalize it. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to have a reason. The only reason you need is that your body, your intuition told you no. And I remember before I had my own kids hearing things about like a mother's intuition. And I was like, yeah, that's a nice thing. It's a very real thing. That's why I feel like there's no blanket health thing, aspect of holistic living that is perfect for every single person. Like, even between my 4 kids, their needs are all so different. Like, of course, their emotional needs are different, but also their physical needs. Like, they have different appetites. They eat different ways. I have one that like really needs a vitamin, I feel like, for her body to be strong and not get every little bug. And I have another that is just like rarely gets sick. Just kind of, it's just the way she is. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay that it's not the same from person to person. And I think it's okay that I didn't check every single thing with their doctor. Actually, they don't even have like a doctor. Can I get arrested for that? I don't know. We do go to the chiropractor regularly, which he is a doctor. So I don't think consulting trusted people or a mentor or getting other opinions is bad. I don't. Like, I think that's why we have other people and we have people that we trust with certain things. But if you're only doing that to avoid making your own decisions and to avoid trusting yourself, then that's a problem. Because you have stewardship over your children and your body for a reason. And it is because you are the most equipped to help them. You are the most equipped to give them the tools they need to navigate this world. You are the most equipped to find the things for them. Like, mothers are incredible. I think it's another thing you could probably play some sort of drinking game with if you were to drink. Make it kombucha or water. Don't mess up your gut health, okay? Okay, thanks. But I mean, moms just know. Like, moms are just cool. Dads have it too, for sure. Do I think it's the same as mother's intuition? No, I don't. Like, I really don't. I feel like it's probably been studied. I should find that. Because from the minute you are pregnant, like, there are just things you know about your baby that you can't explain. There are things that you know about your child, even when they are small and they don't have words. And it's as simple as like, their cries. You know what different cries mean. Part of that is your intuition. As a mom, you're attuned, your emotions, your body, your nervous system is attuned to that little humans. And the same thing happens when they're sick. It is attuned to know the best things for them. Like, even if they have a cough, maybe like your default is like, I have to put a humidifier in their room. Well, maybe it's a dry cough or a wet cough. Maybe they need something else. Like, just kind of fill it out. And the cool thing about intuition is it really is like a muscle. Like, the more you use it, the more you practice, the stronger it gets. The more you trust the sensations in your body, which is a big part of intuition. How does your gut feel? Like, is your heart racing? Does it feel calm? And listening to that, the easier it gets over time. So if you start doing that and trusting yourself with little decisions, instead of sourcing out your power to the extremes we see in social media, instead of being like, oh my gosh, well, so-and-so is saying I have to do red light therapy, like, just trust yourself. And if you're like, yeah, red light therapy, I think is something my family really needs right now, I think we could really utilize it, awesome, go with it. But don't do it if it's not right for you. Am I just blabbing now? Probably. Cool. Good thing I started a podcast. I'm a blabber. I actually had something the other day. I've been in this mastermind group for the last year, and our final call was each of the women kind of sharing their unique, like, magic, their medicine, what they're good at. And there's so many talented women in this group. Like, there's artists, and there's like, and some of them are like these intuitive artists that kind of like channel these beautiful things, or there's, there's people that are hairstylists, or there's a baker. Like, there's literally so many people in this group that are amazing. And I was like psyching myself out leading up to it, which I don't often do. So I was talking to Tyler, my husband, and I'm like, okay, do I try to like paint something? And he's like, oh, like being like ever supportive as he is, but he's like, do you paint now? And I'm like, no, but should I for this? I even wrote a poem. Like, I was up one night, like I had gotten up with a kid and I couldn't go back to sleep. And so it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, I'll write a poem. So I wrote this poem, and in my mind, I'm like, this is good. Like, even like read it through in my notes, and I'm like, this is good. Maybe I can share this on the call. I looked at it the next day and I'm like, this is shiz. You know what? I could read it for you. Let me find it. Where? Maybe I don't even have it anymore. Okay, this. I'm embarrassed. Like, in my mind, it was so poetic. Like, it was called Hello, the poem. And it was just, I can't. To search, to peel back, to shed, to earn, to prove, only to find she was there all along. But, like, imagine if you were a real poet and you could, like, read that with, like, the emotion that a poet does. Like, couldn't that be good? I don't know. Maybe it could. Maybe it's crap no matter what. And then I wrote one about the earth. This is another one of my 3:02 a.m. I can see the time. January 14th, 3:02 a.m. The title is The Lessons She Teaches. Earth Mother, Pachamama, my body, the rose, the shedding of old, to bloom the new, the ocean, let go and release, crash and surrender. I mean, it's not like a negative score, but it's definitely not like above a 5. Maybe even a 2 if we're rating on a scale of 1 to 10. But once again, in my mind, I'm like, these are really good. Like, I'm a poet. Should I publish these? And then I was like, oh my gosh, like, I have to have something performable. And Tyler was so nice to remind me. He's like, you are good at talking. Like, you are good at speaking. Just share that. So I did. So I ended up just getting up and sharing some of my experiences, some of the things that I've learned, and some of my, like, why for what I do. All of that was just to say, that's why I have a podcast, is so I can say what I want. And so if it gets a little wordy, it's fine. You can just turn it off. But you know what? Why not, to close out, I'm going to share my why. I'm just winging this right now. We started talking about the extremes of holistic living, and here we are talking about why I'm doing what I'm doing. So these are my notes. This is just kind of a loose idea, but my why, my purpose, why I do this podcast, why I do anything with Luminary, my retreats, breath work, all those different things, mothering. This is some of my purpose for now. Yeah, why not share this? Better than a poem, I think, just words, just spewing instead of trying to have it be beautiful. So this is something I've learned. Like I said, I've been in a group called Sacred Rebels for the last year, and these are some of the biggest things that it's taught me. My worth lies in my gifts that I spent years writing off as not enough. This year has helped me step into, more than ever, the acceptance that my own unique frequency, my own voice is needed. It's been a reclamation, a reclaiming of who I am and of my soul. No more minimizing my talents, like talking. For years, I've said things like, well, yeah, it's just fun for me to throw parties, or it's easier for me to talk to people, but I'm reclaiming my gifts. What do? I create. I create connection. I'm a gatherer of women and their stories. I create connection through birth education, through helping women connect to their power, back to their bodies, to their babies, to their ability to feel seen and be heard, and creating the birth they want, and having tools to feel all of birth and ride the waves of labor to create an empowered birth experience. I create connection through motherhood. through embracing that motherhood has also birthed a new version of me, for showing up authentically and not as an expert in navigating the ride that is motherhood. Because none of us know what we're doing. I create connection through my retreats and through this podcast, through providing a safe place for women to authentically show up and be seen, to educate, and to heal in community. I create connection through breath work, through connecting back to self, to body, and to the spirit, through releasing all that no longer serves and calling in more love and light. I create connection through my story. I share my own story so other women know they can also overcome. There's a quote that I love by Ed Milet. He says, "You are the most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were." That's why I'm here. Luminary, illuminate, it's all along the same lines. A luminary, is the definition of a luminary, is one of the brightest celestial objects like the sun or the moon. I spent so long hiding in the shadows of my own story to, quote unquote, not make others feel uncomfortable. I dimmed my light for years. I really did. Luminary and the Illuminate podcast is literally about shining the brightest, to be the literal sun, a literal beacon of light for others, that you can be that for your families, that you can be that when you show up in your community, that you can be that by tapping into that intuition like we've been talking about, by trusting your gut, by not getting caught up into it, by finding the balance of motherhood and of holistic living and realistic living. That is what brings more light. Like, I really believe that. It seems simple. It might seem like insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but it's not, because by you tapping into that, into trusting yourself and showing up, that's what changes you, which then trickles to your family, which then trickles to your extended family, your community, your neighbors. And that is where we all shine. All of our gifts that each of us has is incredible. It really is. We're awesome. Like I said, women are so cool. And so let's continue. Let's get rid of the extremes. Let's get rid of the like, never do this or always do this, or you're only a good mom if you X, Y, or Z. Like, you're a damn good mom right now doing what you're doing. Like, we can always improve for sure, but there's not one right thing for you. So trust that. Like, trust what's right for you. Trust what's right for your kids, and then go forward and build a freaking awesome life. Did this become very motivational at the end? I got like very passionate, I feel like. Wow, this really came full circle in my mind. Hopefully it comes full circle as you listen. And if not, you can shoot me a DM and be like, hey, maybe some notes, more of an outline would be helpful instead of just shooting free and wild. But I'm just ready. I'm ready for all of us to step more into our intuition, into our power, into our knowing, into trusting us, to working with God, with working with our children, our family, our spouse, to find what's right for us and our family. That's all. I need a better way to end this thing. Amen. I clapped up. I don't know, but I'm grateful for you for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, then please drop a rating or review. As I'm growing this podcast, it's one of the best things I can do to reach more people. And shoot me a message if you have any thoughts, if you have any insights, anything that you took away, any aha moments. I love hearing about any epiphanies anyone has. And thanks for tuning in.